Okay, we're on page 170, halfway through the page, or in probing. This is one of the 3 ways that people usually reply when they're listening from their own point of view. So, self-centered listening. So probing occurs when you try to dig up emotions before people are ready to share them. Have you ever been probed? Parents do it to teens all the time. Your mom, with every good intention, tries to find out what's going on in your life. And since you're not ready to talk, her attempts feel intrusive, and so you shut her out. Hey, honey, how was school today? Fine. How'd you do in that test? Okay. How are your friends? Good. Do you have any plans tonight? Not really. Have you been seeing any cute girls lately? No, Mom, come on, just leave me alone. No one likes to be interrogated. If you're asking a lot of questions and not getting very far, you're probably probing. Sometimes people just aren't prepped to open up and don't feel like talking. Learn to be a great listener and offer an open ear when the time's right. Genuine listening. So much of our communication happens through text messaging or online, doesn't it? But I think if you have something major to say it in person. That way someone won't take it the wrong way. Luckily, you and I never exhibit any of these 5 poor listening styles, right? Well, maybe just occasionally. There's a higher form of listening, fortunately, which leads to real communication. We call it genuine listening, and it's the kind of practice we want to put to use. But to do genuine listening, you need to do 3 things differently. First, listen with your eyes, heart, and ears. Listening with just your ears isn't good enough, because only 7% of communication is contained in the words we use. The rest comes from body language, 53%, and how we say words, or the tone and feeling reflected in our voice, 40%. For example, notice how you can change the meaning of a sentence just by emphasizing a different word. I didn't say you had an attitude problem. I didn't say you had an attitude problem. I didn't say you had an attitude problem. That's why when you have something major to say, it's better to do it in person rather than texting or online, so the other person really understands what you mean. Too often texting someone about an emotional issue creates more problems than it solves, because people start jumping to conclusions and hearing things you didn't intend. So when what you have to say is sensitive or complicated, go face to face. To hear what other people are really saying, you also need to listen to what they're not saying. No matter how hard people may appear on the surface, most everyone is tender inside and has a desperate need to be understood. The following poem, one of my all-time favorites, captures this need. Please hear what I'm not saying. Don't be fooled by me. Don't be fooled by the mask I wear. For I wear a mask. I wear 1,000 masks. Masks that I'm afraid to take off, and none of them is me. Pretending is an art that is second nature with me, but don't be fooled. I give the impression that I'm secure, that all is sunny and unruffled with me, within as well as without, that confidence is my name and coolness is my game, that the waters are calm and that I'm in command and I need no one. But don't believe it, please don't. I idly chatter with you in the suave tones of surface talk. I tell you everything that's really nothing, nothing of what's crying with me in me. So when I'm going through my routine, don't be fooled by what I'm saying. Please listen carefully and try to hear what I'm not saying, what I'd like to be able to say, what for survival I need to say but I can't say. I just like the hiding. Honestly, I do. I just like the superficial, phony games I'm playing. I'd really like to be genuine, spontaneous, and me, but you have to help me. You have to help me by holding out your hand, even when that's the last thing I seem to want or need. Each time you are kind and gentle and encouraging, each time you try to understand because you really care, my heart begins to grow wings. Very small wings, very feeble wings, but wings. With your sensitivity and sympathy and your power of understanding, I can make it. You can breathe life into me. It will not be easy for you. A long conviction of worthlessness builds strong walls, but love is stronger than strong walls. And therein lies my hope. Just try to beat down those walls with firm hands, but with gentle hands. For a child is very sensitive, and I am a child. Who am I, you may wonder? For I am every man, every woman, every child, every human you meet. Okay, so number 2 for genuine listening is stand in their shoes. To become a genuine listener, you need to take off your shoes and stand in another's. In the words of Robert Burns, until you walk a mile in another man's moccasins, you can't imagine the smell. You must try to see the world as they see it and try to feel as they feel. Let's pretend for a moment that everyone in the world wears tinted glasses and that no two shades are exactly alike. You and I are standing on the banks of a river. I'm wearing green lenses and you're wearing red. Wow, look how green the water is, I say. Green? Are you crazy? The water's red, you reply. Hello, are you colorblind? It's as green gets. It's red, you idiot. Green. Red. Many people look at conversations as a competition. It's my point of view versus yours. We can't both be right. In reality, since we're both coming from a different point of view, we both can be. Furthermore, it's silly to try to win conversations. That usually ends up in win-lose or lose-lose, and is a withdrawal from the RBA. My little sister was once told this story by a friend of hers named Toby. Notice what a difference standing in another's shoes made. The worst part about going to school was riding the bus. Most of my friends had cars, but we couldn't afford a car for my own personal use, so I had to either take the bus or find a ride. Sometimes I'd call my mom after school to pick me up, but she would take so long it drove me crazy. I remember many times screaming at my mom, "What took you forever? Don't you even care that I've been waiting for hours?" I never noticed how she felt or what she'd been doing. I only thought about myself. One day I overheard my mom talking to my dad about it. She was crying and said how much she wished they could afford a car for me and how hard she'd been working to try to earn the extra money. Suddenly my whole perspective changed. I saw my mom as a real person with feelings, fear, hopes, doubts, and a great amount of love for me. I vowed never to treat her bad again. I even started talking more to her, and together we figured out a way I could get a part-time job and earn my way to a car. She even volunteered to drive me to work and back. I wish I'd listened to her earlier. Okay, so 3rd, practice mirroring. Think of a mirror. What does a mirror do? It doesn't judge. It doesn't give advice. It reflects. Mirroring is simply this. Repeat back in your own words what the other person is saying and feeling. Mirroring isn't mimicking. Mimicking is when you repeat exactly what the other person says like a parrot. Tom, I'm having the worst time at school right now. You're having the worst time at school right now? I'm basically flunking all my classes. You're basically flunking all your classes. Man, stop saying everything I'm saying. What's wrong with you? Mirroring is different from mimicking in the following ways. Mimicking is repeating words, using the same words, cold and indifferent. Mirroring is repeating meaning, using your own words, warm and caring. Let's take a look at an everyday conversation to see how mirroring works. Your dad might say to you, "No, you can't take the car tonight, son," and that's final. A typical first-to-talk response might be, "You never let me take the car. I always have to get a ride, and I'm sick of it." This kind of response usually ends up in a big yelling match where neither side feels very good afterward. Instead, try mirroring. Repeat back in your own words what the other person is saying and feeling. Let's try it again. "No, you can't take the car tonight, son, and that's final." I can see that you're upset about this, Dad. You bet I'm upset. But your grades have been dropping lately. You don't deserve the car. So you're worried about my grades then? I am. You know how badly I want you to get into college? College is really important to you, isn't it? I never had the chance to go to college, and I've never been able to make much because of it. I know money's not everything, but it sure would help right now. Just want a better life for you. Okay, I see what you're saying. You're just so capable that it just drives me crazy when you don't take school seriously. I guess you could take the car if you promise me you'll do your homework later tonight. That's all I'm asking. Promise? She knows what happened. By practicing the skill of mirroring, the boy was able to uncover the real issue. Dad didn't care so much about him taking the car. He was more worried about his future and his casualness toward school. Once he felt that his son understood how important grades in college were to him, he dropped his defenses. I can't guarantee that mirroring will always lead to such perfect outcomes. It's usually, but not always, more complicated than this. Dad might have replied, "Glad you understand where I'm coming from, son. Now go do your homework." But I can guarantee that mirroring will be a deposit in another's RBA, and that you'll get farther than you'd get using the fight or flight approach. If you're still a skeptic, I challenge you to give it a try. I think you'll be pleasantly surprised. Disclaimer. If you practice mirroring but don't really desire to understand others, they will see through it and feel manipulated. Mirroring is a skill, the tip of the iceberg. Your attitude or desire to really understand another is a lurking mass of ice underneath the surface. If your attitude is right but you don't have the skill, you'll be okay. But it doesn't work the other way around. If you have both the attitude and the skill, you'll become a powerful communicator. Here are a few mirroring phrases you can use when trying to practice genuine listening. Remember, your goal is to repeat back in your own words what another person is saying and feeling. Some mirroring phrases. Sounds like you feel. So, as I see it, I can see that you're feeling. You feel that? So what you're saying is. Important note. There's a time and a place for genuine listening. You'll want to do it when you're talking about an important or sensitive issue. Like if a friend really needs help, or if you're having a communication problem with a loved one. These conversations take time, and you can't rush them. However, you don't need to do it during casual conversations or everyday small talk. "Man, where's the bathroom? I gotta go real bad." So what you're saying is you're worried you won't find a bathroom in time? Okay, genuine listening in action. Let's take another look at the sister who needs a listening ear from her big brother to illustrate how different genuine listening is. Sister says, "I don't like our new school at all. Ever since we moved, I felt like the biggest outcast. Wish I could find some new friends." The brother could use any one of the following responses. "Pass the chips." Spacing out. Yeah, sounds great." Pretend listening. "Speaking of friends, my friend Julio." Selective listening. "What you need to do is start meeting new people." Advising. "You're not trying hard enough." Judging. "Are you having trouble with your grades too?" Probing. "But if Big Bro is smart, he'll try mirroring. You feel like school's kind of tough right now." It's the worst. I don't have any friends, and this girl Tabitha has been so rude to me. She is literally like the queen bee in Mean Girls. I just don't know what to do. Sounds like you feel confused. Yeah, I've always been popular, and then suddenly no one knows my name. I'm trying to get to know people, but it's not really working. I can see you're frustrated. Yeah, I probably sound like I'm psycho or something. Anyway, thanks for listening. No problem. What do you think I should do? By listening, Big Brother made a huge deposit into his sister's RBA. In addition, his little sister is now open to his advice. Time is now right for him to seek to be understood, to share his point of view. A guy named Andy shared this. "I was going through communication problems with my girlfriend, whom I cared very much about. We'd been going out for a year, and we were starting to fight a lot. I was really scared to maybe lose her. When I learned about seeking first to understand and then to be understood, and how to apply the relationship bank account to relationships, I took it very personally. I realized that I had always been trying to interpret what she was saying, but never really listened with an open mind. It saved our relationship, and we're still together 2 years later. Our relationship is much more mature than most couples because we both believe in habit 5. We use it for big decisions as well as little ones, like going out for dinner. Every time I'm together with her, I honestly keep saying to myself, shut up, and try to understand her.